Let's shift gears into Occupy Wall Street movement, started by great grassroots people, but since completely and totally hijacked by the White House. That's now admitted that the big unions and Move On are all involved in it. The NYPD, the mafia that runs New York, is whining right now that there's a hefty price tag of millions of dollars. It's been so expensive to break people's arms and crack peaceful protesters over the heads who dare protest Wall Street in some nebulous way. But wait, I heard this a week ago and thought that's impossible. That's not true. But one of my crew, Marcos, actually brought me the screenshot from jpmorganchase.com where they actually gave $4.6 million the day before the Occupy Wall Street movement was launched to them, basically as a payoff. And of course, we launched a Protest the Fed movement a few months ago, and that ended up being a national story because the protesters that went out there in New York, even though it was just a few hundred of them, had already been surveilled on and reported on by the NYPD, and they admitted, yeah, we watch people that protest the Fed, their paymasters. Now, Obama's trying to co-opt the Occupy Wall Street movement. The people on the ground are great. We've got reporters up there, Rob Jacobson and others. But the media, the dominant corporate dying dinosaur media, but it's still dominant, kind of like a dead elephant in your living room, rotting everywhere. It's dominating your house. They are sitting there giving attention to the George Soros people, acting like all of Occupy Wall Street just hates free market, anybody that has a dollar more than them, and wants socialism and this whole list of demands of free education, all these imaginary pipe dreams and more taxes to pay the bankers' bailout money. But there's a report in Reuters that Wall Street cash has now shifted from Romney to Obama. They own both political parties, but they always shift. You know, Mo McCain's not going to win, so they gave 4 or 5 times the money, depending on which bank it was, to Obama. Well, now in a real sign that Obama is in deep, deep doo-doo, Wall Street cash shifts to Romney from Obama 10-1. And this article goes over all of it. About a quarter of the $18 million that has been raised is coming directly from Wall Street on that front. And so meet the new boss, same as the old boss. Meanwhile, our report is up on Drudge Report today. Why are Occupy Wall Street protesters repeating White House talking points? And then the article basically goes over that information. Continuing with this, Ron Paul tried to get a full audit, and he passed it in the House. It was killed in the Senate. So the Senate passed a partial, paltry, really ceremonial audit. And Ron Paul says that it's only ceremonial, but it still allows him to grill Bernanke and others and have them try to whitewash things and not telling where the trillions went, so it's a step in the right direction. Remember when Ron Paul was first in Congress decades ago, he was unable to get one co-sponsor to audit the Fed, but now he was able to pass a good bill through the House, but it was killed in the Senate. So that is a historical move in the right direction. Announced job cuts have risen 212%. And most of the big green jobs were just payoffs to Democratic Party executives. That's now been admitted, including big, quote, test green office parks have now basically laid off their employees. And so it's a 212% increase in job layoffs from a year ago. But still, the globalists are telling us that they have basically fixed the economy for us. One more article I wanted to get to is the fact that 11%, I saw the other day, of Texans have an arrest warrant out for them. 11%. And I've seen reports in Lago Vista, outside Austin, where I live, and other parts of the country, where if you aren't wearing a seatbelt, they arrest you and take you to jail, even though the statute wasn't written for that. Or if you're speeding, you now go to jail because they somehow get more fines. And I saw an article out of Fox News where it says, auto owners beware, D.C. cops throw drivers in jail for expired tags. AAA cries foul. And it goes on to say their favorite is women with children, because then the CPS gets to grab them. And women driving kids to school or whatever, even if your tags are a few days out, they arrest you and seize your children and then try to keep them. So the government is literally hunting you. And a lot of people out there can't even pay for the tags anymore. They're bankrupt. Their whole world's falling down. They're trying not to be homeless. It doesn't matter. All over the country, not just D.C., they find one thing. You're going to jail, and they're taking your kids because this is literal slavery. The government ships the drugs in. Your kids are dumb enough to use them. They put them in the private prisons owned by big drug cartels that launder their money through major banks. That's come out. It's incredible. Now, we're going to be occupying the real enemy. We're going to be going up against the actual globalists, the enemies of our republic, not some vague attack on people that are part of the free market that these monopoly capitalists are actually enemies of. And we're going to come back with G. Edward Griffin breaking all of this down. But I wanted to go to break with a clip we played a few nights ago of an interview or a question that Luke Radowski of We Are Change was able to ask the man that's worth over $200 million who says capitalism is the problem. Gee, Michael, why couldn't you make your films in Russia or China? Why couldn't you make them in Venezuela under Hugo Chavez? You know, America's not perfect, but freedom is what produced the culture and the money for you to make $200 million. The truth is, you know exactly what's going on. Your job is with Goldman Sachs and the big banks that finance the fake green movement, the carbon taxes, the austerity, all of it. You know what your mission is. We're going to expose that with G. Edward Griffin coming up, so here's that clip.
Michael, what do you think about ending the Federal Reserve banking system, the private banking system?
I think there's a larger issue to deal with.
And the Fed, it's a private bank.
And capitalism, that's the problem. Capitalism has to go.